Chapter 57. Dogface was dying and he knew it. A bullet had hit a rib and turned downward into his gut. The bullet hadn't come out, and nobody was trying to get it out either. He lay on a saddle blanket in his death sweat, and all Blue Duck wanted to know was how many men there had been in the party that shot him. 3 horses, one of the Kiowa said, but Dogface couldn't remember if it had been 2 or 3. It was getting dark, he said. One whole side of his body was wet with blood. He wanted to see the girl, but Blue Duck squatted by his side, blocking his view. "You never hit McCrae?" he asked. "He forded up behind his horse," Dogface said. "I might have put one in him. I don't know." "We'll kill him tomorrow," Monkey John said. "He ain't got no horse, and maybe he's crippled." "I doubt it," Blue Duck said. "I expect tomorrow he'll walk in and finish the rest of you, unless he does it tonight." "I hurt bad," Dogface said. "Go on and shoot me." Blue Duck laughed. "You won't catch me wasting a bullet on you," he said. "Monkey can cut your damn throat if he wants to." Well, Monkey couldn't come near him. Monkey John was worried, and so were the Kiowas. They all kept cocking and uncocking their pistols. They asked for whiskey, but Blue Duck wouldn't give them any. Dogface looked at the girl. She sat with her arms wrapped around her knees. Blue Duck went and saddled his horse. When he came back to the fire, he kicked the girl. He kicked her several times until she fell over and lay curled up. "What'd she do?" Dogface asked. Blue Duck walked over and kicked him in the side, causing him to scream with pain and roll off the blanket. "Mind your own goddamn business," Blue Duck said. "You gonna leave?" Monkey John asked nervously. "That's right," Blue Duck said. "I am to look for a better crew. This whole bunch of you couldn't kill one man. You never even attacked that second bunch. It was probably just a cowboy or 2. Dogface tried to roll back on his blanket, but his strength was gone. The Kiowas had already taken his gun and divided his ammunition amongst themselves, so he couldn't even shoot himself. He had a razor in his pack, and he might have managed to cut his own throat, but his pack was on the other side of the fire, and he knew he would never be able to crawl to it. Blue Duck kicked Lorena twice more. "You ain't worth selling," Blue Duck said. "The Kiowas can have you." "What about me?" Monkey John asked. "What about my half interest?" "I won back your half interest," Blue Duck said. "I won the Kiowas half too." "Then how come you're giving it to the goddamn Kiowas?" Monkey John said. "Give her to me." "No, I want 'em to carve her up," Blue Duck said. "It might put some spirit in 'em, so they can go out tomorrow and run that old ranger to ground." "Hell, I'm as mean as they are," Monkey John said. "I can finish him if he comes around here." Blue Duck mounted. "You ain't half as mean as they are," he said. "And if McCrae comes around here, you better step quick or you get plugged. He got Ermoke, and Ermoke was 3 times the fighter you are." He opened his pack, took out a bottle of whiskey, and pitched it to the Indians. Then he said something to them in their language and rode away towards the river. Lorena lay where she had fallen, listening to Dogface moan. With each breath, he let out a throaty moan. His wound had bloody bubbles on it. Lorena got up on her hands and knees and vomited from fear. The Kiowas were still looking at her as they drank. She wanted to run but felt too weak. Anyway, they would soon catch her if she ran. She crawled away from the vomit and sank back, too tired and scared to move. Monkey John sat back from the fire, clutching his rifle. He didn't even look at her. He wouldn't help her. She was just in for it. "Help her, Monkey," Dogface said. "Hell, I can't help her," Monkey John said. "You heard him. He gave him to him." One of the Kiowas understood the talk and was angered. He pulled his knife and stood over Dogface threateningly. Dogface continued to moan. Then the Kiowa sat on his chest and Dogface screamed, a weak scream. The rest of the Indians jumped for him. He was too weak even to lift a hand. One Kiowa cut his belt and 2 more pulled his pants off. Before Lorena could even turn her head, they castrated him. Another slashed a knife down his forehead and began to rip off his hair. Dogface screamed again, but it was soon muffled as the Kiowas held his head and stuffed his own bloody organs into his mouth, shoving them down his throat with the handle of a knife. His hair was soon ripped off, and Kiowa took the scalp and tied it to his lance. Dogface struggled for breath, a pool of blood between his legs. Yet he wasn't dead. Lorena had her face in her arms, and she could still hear him moan and gurgle for breath. She wished he would die. It shouldn't take so long just to die. She expected any minute they would fall on her, but they didn't. What they had done to Dogface put him in a good mood, and they passed around the whiskey bottle. Monkey John was probably as scared as she was. He sat silently by the fire, his rifle in his hands, pulling at his dirty beard. Once in a while, the Kiowas would jabber at him in their own language, but he didn't answer. Lying with her face almost on the ground, she was able to hear horses. Only she didn't know what it was or to take any hope from it. It was something running. Maybe Blue Duck was coming back to reclaim her. The Kiowas, singing and drinking, too, with bloody knives still in their hands, didn't hear the running. But Monkey John suddenly heard it. He jumped to his feet and raised his rifle, but before he could fire, she heard a gun go off in the darkness, and Monkey John dropped the rifle and slumped to a sitting position, his mouth open as if he were about to say something. Lorena saw that, and just as she saw it, two horses raced right over Monkey John without touching him and were into the Kiowas. One Kiowa screamed, a second more hopeless and frightening than even the scream of Dogface. Before she thought about it being Gus, she saw him yank his horse almost down right in the middle of the Kiowas. He shot that one that screamed, and then the two that held the knives, shooting from his horse right into their chests. Another Kiowa grabbed the lance with Dogface's scalp on it, but Gus shot him before he could lift it. He shot another just as the man was picking up his rifle. The last Kiowa fled into the darkness, and Gus turned his horse after him. "Finish any that ain't finished," he said to the other man. But that man had barely dismounted before there was a shot in the darkness. He stood by his horse listening. There was another shot, and then the sound of a horse looping back. Lorena thought it was over, but Monkey John shot with his pistol at that man standing by the fire. He missed completely, and the man slowly raised his own pistol, but before he could fire, Gus rode back into the firelight and shot with his rifle, knocking Monkey John into the pack. Then Gus turned her over and was holding her in his arms, his rifle still in one hand. "Where's Blue Duck, Lori?" he asked. "Was he here tonight?" Lorena had a hard struggle to get her mind back to Blue Duck. She had stopped talking, and though she wanted to talk, the words wouldn't come. She stared at Gus and began to cry, but she couldn't get out an answer to the question. "Was he here tonight?" Gus asked again. "Just answer that, and I won't bother you no more until you feel better." Lorena nodded. Blue Duck had been there. It was all she could do. Gus stood up. "Go back to your party," Gus said to the other man. "Go now." "I didn't shoot a one," the other man said. "You shot the whole bunch." "It ain't important," Augustus said. "I can't leave this girl, and she ain't in shape to travel fast. Go back to your party. If Lori can ride, we'll come when we can." "Did you kill the one that ran off?" July asked. "Yes," Augustus said. "A man can't outrun a horse." "You get along. There's a dangerous man loose along this river, and I doubt that deputy of yours can handle him." "What if I can't either?" July thought, looking down at Dogface. He had managed to pull his genitals out of his mouth and still lay breathing. Looking at the pool of blood he lay in, July felt his stomach start to come up. He turned away to keep from vomiting. "I'll tidy up these dead," Augustus said. "I know this is a shock to you, Mr. Johnson. It's different from a barroom scrape in Arkansas, but you got to choke it down and get back to your people." "Are you going to kill him?" July said, referring to Dogface. "Yes, if you don't travel soon," Augustus said. Before July was over the second ridge, he heard the gun again.